Water, Earth, Fire, Air. Far away into Wind, in another star system, the 4 tribes of the Tau waged civil war. That was until the Ethereal showed up. These mysterious individuals brought the idea of unity, which created an end to the era of violence known as the Mon Tau, and introduced the idea of the greater good, or the Tau Va, to the Tau on their home planet, Tau. Are you following along so far? The Ethereal saw the 4 tribes and believed that they could do so much more if they could work together and use their talents to better advance their civilization. They created the caste system, the idea that no individual is unimportant, but that no one is above the needs of the society. No one in the Tau caste is allowed to interbreed with a different caste member, nor are they allowed to perform duties that are done by a different caste. To do so would be considered Vashya, or between spheres, which is considered taboo. Different ranks within each caste are possible for an individual to obtain after years of service. The Tau understand this and willfully work within these rules, all for the sake of the greater good. In only 6,000 years since discovering fire, the Tau evolved from a primitive species into a spacefaring, planet-colonizing empire, all thanks to the guidance of the Ethereals and the enforcement of the caste system. Millennia in this kind of society has changed the members of the caste system significantly, and has allowed them to better spread the teachings of the greater good among the planets they visit/conquer.
Join the Tau Empire. We have hoof picks.
Watercast. Poor. The verbally masterful and graceful members of the Watercast act as the traders, negotiators, ambassadors, and overall diplomats. They are usually the first to arrive when introducing the Empire to a prospective new member species. Watercast members can pick up on new languages easily, and they are incredibly proud of their speechcraft. A unique thing about their physiology is that they have advanced tongues, capable of copying the utterances and necessary sounds used in different languages. Do not ever try to out-insult a Watercast member, as they are always able to find ways to get under a person's skin. They work in conjunction with the Air and Firecasts during battles by wiretapping enemy communications using advanced technology, using their knowledge of linguistics to translate enemy orders, and then relaying beneficial tactical data to allied combatants. They also work with these castes by taking video footage of their successes and missions to use in propaganda reels for future Empire expansions. This footage must first be scrutinized by the Ethereal caste. During the time of the Mon Tau, they were the first caste to have the idea that unity between tribes would be better than constant war. But the Ethereal showed up and made the once-thought monumental task a comparably simple chore. Being so easily outperformed made the Watercast take longer than the other tribes to revere the Ethereals. The 6 ranks in the Watercast are Apprentice, Bureaucrat, Envoy, Magister, Diplomat, and Ambassador.
I sometimes hear the Gue'vesa call me a blue squat. Is that a type of insult?
Earthcast, Theo. The most numerous of the castes, these Tau contribute to the Empire by working as laborers, farmers, technicians, engineers, medics, and forge masters. This caste is usually the second one that will appear on a prospective world to entice the populace with the advanced technology that the Tau can give them. They are responsible for the many technological achievements the Tau have benefited from as a whole. They built the battlesuits that are used by the Firecast, the air and spacecrafts used by the Aircast, the drones and communications equipment valued by both the Water and the Ethereal castes, and they synthesized the densest metal Tau have ever made, iridium. The members of the Earthcast are usually very dour and stoic in attitude, but they all have a shared love for learning and innovation. They will look at technology foreign to them and try to reverse engineer it for Tau application, such as disassembling an Imperium warp drive to possibly achieve faster than light travel. Reverse engineering is done alongside the Watercast, who are capable of translating the foreign text found on unknown machines. Some Earthcast are willing to push ethical boundaries for the sake of progress, such as using technology to create a neural map of a subject, with the consequence being that subject's mental degradation. Terraforming planets and creating strong fortifications are things they are well versed in handling. They usually work alongside the Firecast when building, as the Firecast can be deployed to demolish and clear an area for construction. The medical sciences they use are so advanced that they master Tau to AI transference and cloning. The 6 ranks of the Earthcast are Apprentice, Worker, Senior, Overseer, Engineer, and Planner.
I wonder what'll be around the next star.
Aircast, Core. The tall and lanky pilots, transporters, and messengers of the Tau Empire. They are the third to arrive on a new planet with intelligent life on it, bringing the bulk of the Tau colonization effort. The Aircast are in charge of the Tau fleet, and they are the only ones that can pilot Tau ships. Aircast members are never found on the ground, as they find it uncomfortable, preferring to live up in low orbit aboard orbital stations or ships. This stems from the fact that they are raised in low-gravity environments, and the force of standard levels of gravity feels taxing to them. This fact can sometimes have them be referred to as the invisible caste, since they are hardly seen by other species compared to the Earth and Watercasts. The love of flying is deeply ingrained in their psyche, their ancestors once having membranous wings that allowed them to glide on air currents. The results of this are that they have hollow bones and the vestigial remains of those membranes. Their traveling nature helps them chart paths through the void, as they can't make use of faster-than-light travel. The Aircast have an excellent innate sense of direction, and they are able to tell the slightest change in a ship's course that most other Tau won't take notice of. A Tau fighter pilot has better depth perception and higher G tolerance compared to a human pilot. The Aircast basically helps hold the entire Empire together in the physical sense. The 6 ranks of the Aircast are Apprentice, Messenger, Carrier, Pilot, Captain, and Admiral.
Another day of protecting the Tau Va, little drone friend. And I'll watch yours as well.
Firecast, Shaz. The warriors of the Tau Empire. They make up the significant majority of ground troops on a battlefield. Firecast members never stop readying for battle. They constantly train and hone their martial arts for future conflict. Their ancestors were originally hunters and warriors residing on the plains of their homeworld. They are shown to be more muscular than the other castes and far more physically strong. A Firecast can be assumed to be incredibly passionate, and they can be quick to anger, but they are trained from birth to temper their fires and only use them when appropriate. The Firecast has a strong and established tradition of testing their warriors in something known as the trial by fire. This can involve gladiatorial combat, exposure survival, or some other warrior's test. The test is administered every 4 Terran Standard years after the Firecast individual becomes a fire warrior. With each successful clearance of the trial, their rank goes up. The Firecast works in the military for life, the only exception being the obtaining of commander rank, where they can retire and become an advisor on their world's council. A Firecast member will start to see active combat once they obtain warrior rank, and they can only begin learning how to pilot a battlesuit at veteran. They can become incredibly close to the drones that they fight alongside. Their force fields and remote projectiles are incredibly useful tools that keep a fire warrior alive longer out on a battlefield. The Firecast believes in 2 forms of combat known as Mont-Ka and Kao-Yon. Mont-Ka, or the killing blow, involves a kata of fire warriors identifying a target of opportunity and attacking it swiftly. Kao-Yon, or the patient hunter, uses foresight to determine where and when a target will be to deliver the best strike against them. The strongest Firecast members are chosen to become Ethereal guards. The self-explanatory title usually involves 2 of the hulking brutes guarding an Ethereal and addressing those that wish to speak to them. The 6 ranks for the Firecast are Cadet, Warrior, Veteran, Hero, Knight, and Commander. Believe me when I say, what is happening to your planet and your species is all for the sake of the greater good. Ethereal Caste. Aun. The enigmatic and mysterious fifth caste that just showed up one day in the Tao's relatively short history. They are the political and spiritual leaders of the Tao Empire, and their word is basically the word of the greater good. Members of the Ethereal Caste all resemble the Water and Firecasts physically, but the incredibly notable thing about them is a red gemstone protruding from their foreheads. Some scientists have a hard time deciding whether this is some kind of inorganic material or an actual organ, but it is definitely a mark that makes them stand out amongst their fellow Tao. They talk with authority and certainty, never showing an ounce of doubt in their voices. To a Tao, to be in the presence of one is a rare sight and a blessing. Also, the highest-ranked non-ethereal Tao can feel humbled when in the presence of even the lowest-ranked ethereal. An ethereal will sometimes find it beneficial to show up onto a war zone to better inspire its allied combatants. This works to a significant degree, but should an ethereal fall in battle, the Tao around them will be struck by such a wave of grief that battle plans will quickly fall apart. The way other Tao are beholden to the ethereals has been noted by other species as incredibly disturbing. An ethereal can be delivering a speech to a massive crowd of Tao, and not one of them will dare to focus on anything else. An ethereal could tell a Tao to kill themselves on the spot, and the individual wouldn't hesitate to follow the command. Such instances have led some Magos biologists to speculate if the ethereals have a certain control over the other Tao through means such as mental manipulation or pheromones. One ethereal was able to quell a massive riot of Tao that were blocking a train departing a city about to be destroyed by an orc invasion. They are both the saviors and the leaders of the Tao, but are their intentions really for the betterment of the galaxy as a whole, or just their own caste specifically? And why do they seem so steadfast in trying to hide the existence of demons and chaos? The 6 ranks for the ethereal caste are Apprentice, Prince, Prelate, King, Holy, and Ethereal Supreme.
Most humans would shoot me on sight, but you're different.
If it gets me out of the Manufactorum, I'll even kiss a Zenos.
Auxiliary Forces. The colonists and integrated species of the Tao Empire who take up the belief of the greater good. Anyone can join the Empire, provided you are intelligent and capable of diplomacy. When the Tao come into contact with an unknown species, they prioritize open communication with them first before any kind of military action. They'll send out Water and Earthcast members to sell the idea of joining the Empire, and should the new species approve of them, then they are welcomed with open arms. Should they refuse, then they will be forcefully annexed into the Empire through a military campaign. You aren't placed into a caste system like the Tao are, and you can even be given a seat on your planet's newly created Elemental Council. Every species is able to continue worshipping the old religions they had before colonization, though the Tao do encourage the integration of the Tao Va. You will be expected to work for the benefit of the Empire as a whole. But, compared to other brutal regimes out there, this can be seen as a positive, as you will be given access to advanced Tao technologies and economic opportunities. You could find safety and security in a galaxy filled to the brim with unspeakable horrors. Humans, called Gue'vesa by the Tao, are some of the more common members in these forces, given the incredibly terrible standards of living under the Imperium. They will fight alongside Zenos that would immediately get them labeled as heretical in any other circumstance. Humans bring their ingenuity and fighting spirit. The Kroot bring their hyper-evolution. The Vespids bring their large numbers and flight capabilities. The Nikasar have their psychic abilities. The Votan offer ion technology, and so on. You'll be a part of a utopia, and, as we all know, something that has been labeled as such has never come with its share of problems. My first Zenos lore video. I've always been fascinated by the Tao as a concept. How would a race of aliens preaching about goodness be handled in such a dark setting? Turns out they have their own dark moments, but they are still kept as the Zenos race you'd most likely want to find your planet. And in that galaxy, what greater good could there possibly be?